So, I'm going to be spending this weekend reading Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. I'm so excited to read this book, and I thought I would share the experience with you guys. I don't usually vlog just one book, but I'm so excited for this one, and I want you guys to go through the experience with me. So, I'll catch you guys once I've started it, or have anything to say. Bye! Hi. So I am broadcasting to you from my kitchen cupboard to update you about this book while I'm making my lunch. So I have started Sunrise on the Reaping. I know I'm 2 chapters in. I think it's about 40 pages in. But yeah, essentially we've learnt how Haymitch ended up in the Hunger Games. But essentially, you've got it's a lot similar to Katniss's family dynamic. Actually, single mum, one sibling, and the main character. In this case, it's Haymitch. In the other Hunger Games, it was Katniss. But yeah, and then a chance event happens, and Haymitch ends up in the Hunger Games. Basically, his name wasn't originally drawn, but there was some kind of like battle there, and he stepped up to help his girlfriend Lorna Dove, and they were kind of pissed at him, and that meant that he volunteered to go into the Hunger Games. Now, I personally wouldn't take that, but I'm not in that world. But yeah, anyway, so he tried to protect his girlfriend and so he's now gone into the Hunger Games, and he's had to leave his girlfriend, his brother, and his mother behind. But yeah, essentially we already, because we know how this book's going to end because of the Hunger Games trilogy, it's going to be interesting, like, seeing how it went down. But yeah, so essentially it turns out Haymitch was born on the day that the Reaping is, so essentially his birthday is the Reaping. So it's hard for him to want to celebrate it when he knows that that his birthday, the day that he's celebrating, is also the day that all of these people end up in a battle to the death. And yeah, so I do love the relationship that Haymitch has with his brother, his mum, and the few people in the what did they call it? Like I can't remember what they called it, but like the areas with the districts. For the life of me, I can't remember what it's called, but yeah. But I do like how he has relationships with a lot of the characters there, and they've dropped some names like Everdeen, Malark. They've kind of hinted at Haymitch knowing the parents of some of the future recruits or tributes. But yeah, I can't really get too much into it yet because nothing's really started. But yeah, Haymitch rebelled against them from the beginning. Like, he did not like President Snow or the Peacemakers, who aren't really Peacemaker, and essentially the Hunger Games people just want a show out of it. So they care more about the views as opposed to the lives of these children. But yeah, I'm about 40 pages in, but I have gotten the backstory for Haymitch leading up to the Hunger Games. So after I make my lunch, I will keep reading, and then I will come back to you with another update. The next update won't be from my kitchen cupboard. I can almost guarantee that. Bye. Okay, so I am currently cooking my dinner, and I'm also on some live reading sprints. So I thought I would update you guys about my book, about where I'm up to in Sunrise on the Reaping before I keep reading it. Because I'm like, it's been like only a few hours and I'm like about halfway through it already. But yeah, I am actually really liking this story. I'll just keep going from where I was up to, because I think last thing I mentioned was Haymitch heading towards the Hunger Games. Yeah, so essentially, Haymitch is now at the training for the games, and he's essentially pissed off President Snow before the games even start. Basically, he befriended a girl called Luella, and she was killed on the way to, in one of the carriages on the way to the training. So she was killed before the games even started. And he was really pissed off at that. He didn't want her death to be pushed under the rug. So he kind of just plopped her dead body in front of President Snow so that he would have to acknowledge her death and take responsibility for it. Now, Snow obviously didn't like that. So we'll get back to that subplot and we'll get back to that section of the story in a minute. But yeah, essentially after he does that, they all head to the training ground and where they'll be sleeping until the games start. And he has he's sort of befriended the other two in his district. And he's also befriended a little boy from another district. And they're kind of just grouping all the districts together to try and be to kind of just team up against the careers, which are the more advanced in the games. And yeah, it's actually really kind of sad because this boy that Haymitch has befriended, he's about 7 or 8, and his father, who won one of his previous Hunger Games, they found out something about him cheating or pushing the system. So now his dad has to both be his mentor and watch him die, watch his own son, essentially train his own son to die, which I feel is really sad, which I really don't like the idea of, because the poor kid is just so naive and doesn't know what's happening, and the dad doesn't have a choice. It's like a punish. It's like the way that they're punishing him. Yeah, so we've got all that. They've done their training. Now we're gonna get back to the Snow, Haymitch, Luella thing. I'm gonna put the book down so I can hold this properly. So now we'll get back to the Snow, Haymitch, Luella thing. Basically, Haymitch is summoned to Snow's, I don't know what it's called, but he's essentially summoned to President Snow, and he has essentially brought a lookalike Luella in. So now Haymitch has to pretend that Luella didn't die, and he has to still refer to her as Luella in interviews and all of that, which is kind of sick. I mean, he was this girl's friend, promised to protect her. She dies, and now he's got that guilt of not being able to protect her. And now he has to protect a lookalike person who's been brainwashed. He knows it's not Luella. It isn't Luella. But he has to act like it is. He can't bring himself to. But, yeah. So he's now in that position. And, yeah. So that's where I'm up to. That's where I'm up to in the book. But yeah, a lot has happened in the 145 pages. Yeah, and so he... Essentially, I am getting a lot of Katniss vibes from Haymitch's story, which I think is why he admired her later on. But yeah, so I will keep you updated when I've read some more. Bye! Okay, so I am doing one final update for tonight. You are sitting in my kitchen cupboard, but I thought I would just do a quick update before I go to sleep and completely forget what I read by the morning. So I'm going to update you while I'm washing my dishes. But essentially, we're now at the point in the book where they're finally like developing who they are as characters. So they're still not in the... I'm 200 pages in and they're still not in the game yet. This is all still like just build up to the games. But essentially they've established the type of characters that all of them are. Haymitch is going by for the troublemaker route. And he's sort of conflicted on who he can trust in the games. So he's essentially going in alone to keep everyone else safe. And yeah, so he's rebelling a lot. We have met. So we were recently introduced to some of the characters from the actual trilogy, like Effie Trinket was brought into it, and Caesar, whatever his last name was, the interviewer who interviewed Katniss and Peter, as well as the other, as well as the other tributes. I can't remember his last name, but yeah, Caesar, whoever. And yeah, so Haymitch is essentially, yeah, they're basically coming up with a plan to like blow up something to do with the system, and hopefully I don't know if they're going to shut it down for good, but they're definitely planning to shut it down for the Hunger Games they're about to compete in. Yeah, so we haven't really been introduced to any other new characters aside from the ones that were mentioned before, but yeah. District 12, which is Haymitch's district, were kind of seen as like the underdogs, like no one really cared about them as a district. Like they all thought that, oh, no one from that district's gonna win, so we don't need to waste our time with them. But thanks to the interviews of, all of the tributes, they've now brought a lot of extra name to their district, and Haymitch is essentially being seen as the rebellious one because he got like the lowest score ever known, which is a 1. And so he used that to be like, oh, anyone can get a 10. It takes a real kind of troublemaker to get a 1. So yeah, he's kind of like playing on the fact that he doesn't care about the Hunger Games, and he's just there to cause trouble, which he is. But yeah, he's kind of just going off that fact. And yeah, a bunch of the other ones are like talking about like the rebellion that they've built, where it's all like the underdogs and the newcomers going up against the like careers or the people who see as having more of a chance than them, which I like. I do like a good underdog story. And yes, like I said, I know how this ends, so I don't really even have to pretend like I'm rooting for someone else. Although as a character, I do like the main kid who started this rebellion idea. He's a cute kid. And he's so, like, naively innocent, too. Like, yeah. And they all have these different skills that they focus on, and they can use those to their advantage. Some of them don't see themselves as having the skills that are worth mentioning or bragging about. But yeah, I do quite like where the story's going. I am worried though, because I'm at the second half of the book and I feel like this is when it's going to kick in and have stuff that's going to make me cry. So I feel like I should be prepared for that tomorrow when I get to that point, but I'm just going to be blissfully unaware until then. And yeah, so I am not the best at summarizing books in a way that sounds at all appealing, but I'm trying my best here. And this is the first time I've actually done it with spoilers, because normally I try to avoid spoilers to not annoy people, but it doesn't matter with this one because I'm not the first person to review it, and I'm certainly not the first person to give spoilers. But I feel like it's easier to summarize books with spoilers rather than trying to figure out what you can't say because it is a spoiler. And yeah, so there is one character who I am really liking as well. It's one of the other District 12 competitors. But yeah, I really like her because she has this rivalry with one of the heads of the Hunger Games, and I like that because she doesn't give any kind of stuff. And yeah, I admire the brutal honesty that she has. It's a similar issue that I have. I don't really have much of a filter, and it can get me in trouble. And yeah, it seems to be getting her in trouble. So I relate to her as a character. But yeah, I don't really know what else I can say about this book or that section that I just read. Because yeah, I've kind of summarized up everything I've read. But yeah, there are some characters in here that I'm not sure if they're good guys or bad guys, but they're definitely something. But yeah, that's all I've really got for this update. I will stop recording, I will finish my dishes and go to bed, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye. Okay, and I have finished Sunrise on the Reaping. Now, this book did make me feel things. I didn't cry necessarily, but I was like so close to crying. Yeah, Haymitch went through a lot in his Hunger Games. Like, yes, I knew how it was going to end. Snow killed his family and the love of his life because he outsmarted him. Yeah, because Haymitch outsmarted Snow and embarrassed him. Which I don't see an issue with, honestly, but yeah. But yeah, he went through a lot. He watched a lot of people die, and yeah, Lulu, this replacement Luella, he already had guilt for the first one dying, and then he had to watch the second one die, and then the 12-year-old that had started this whole alliance thing, he was essentially torn to shreds by some squirrels, I think. But yeah, by the time that Haymitch got them all off him, he was essentially only bones left. And the idea of that is actually quite tragic, especially when you're 12 years old. The worst part is his father had to watch that, and he didn't get to die afterwards. But yeah. So yeah, that was quite tragic. And then the last of his, 4 group in his district, he had to watch die. Again, in quite a similar way to how the other boy died. She was ripped apart by not squirrels, but I think butterflies. Yeah, and then the last person he tries to save, it comes down to 3 more. There's one more person he tries to save, and then he separates himself from them for 5 minutes to go and get some firewood, and then she's dead. So Haymitch really didn't have a lot of luck with the people he tried to protect. And when it was just the last 2, Haymitch and this one other person, that's why, that's the moment that he tricked, that he, outsmarted the capital, because he had thrown a pebble at it earlier and realized that it bounced back in. So he found a way to escape the arena, and he survived by the other person not knowing, throwing an axe, and then Haymitch dodged it, and it killed her instead. So he was a reluctant winner. Well, not reluctant for him, but yeah, President Snow had to crown him the winner, even though he really didn't want to. So yeah, even though he was crowned the winner, he lost everyone he loved as a result. And so there wasn't really anything for him there wasn't really anyone for him to live for after that. And yeah, he started out this book not a drinker, but the reason he became a drinker later on, it was to drown out the images of everyone he loved, essentially gone. But yeah, so this was a very well done book. I gave it 5 stars. It didn't make me cry, but the writing style and the story, it got 5 stars. And yeah, there's an epilogue in here where it's after the Hunger Games trilogy. So essentially, this is him telling a story, and then the epilogue is him realizing that he has a new family with Katniss and Peter. And he realizes that the only reason he stayed alive was because he promised Lenore Dove that he would stop another reaping. And eventually he did. Well, he didn't, but he was a part of... But Katniss was the one who eventually was able to stop all of it. And so he felt like his job was done, and he could die in peace now, knowing that the Hunger Games would never happen again. But yeah, he's just living out his days in peace with his new family in Katniss and Peter. But yeah, this was very well done. I loved it. And yeah, I'm giving it 5 stars. And yeah, that's it for this vlog. I don't think I've ever actually done one where I only read one book, but I have for this one. And I will catch you in whatever you see next. Bye!